Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let's begin in a place of quiet. Not a physical place, though that helps, but an inner one. A space behind the eyes, beneath the thoughts, where you simply are. Wherever you are right now, whatever sound surrounds you, whatever feeling resides in your body, can you allow it? Without needing to change it, fix it, or understand it. Just for these next moments, let everything be exactly as it is. Feel the weight of your body, supported by the chair, the floor, the earth. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breath, coming and going on its own. You are not doing the breathing. You are being breathed. Life is breathing you. And in this simple noticing, you have already taken the first, most profound step on a journey that began over 2,500 years ago under a Bodhi tree. This is the journey of understanding your own mind. Not fighting it. Not obeying it. But understanding it. And in that understanding, finding a peace that does not come and go, but has been here all along. Buddhism teaches us that our greatest source of suffering is not the world outside, but our relationship with the world inside. The thoughts, the stories, the constant commentary. We live most of our lives in a secondary world, the world of our thinking about reality, rather than in direct contact with reality itself. We are like people watching a dramatic, endless movie on a screen, so absorbed in the plot that we forget we are sitting in a comfortable chair, in a safe room. We cheer, we weep, we tremble with fear at what happens to the characters. We forget we are the watcher. The one who is aware of the movie. Your life is not the movie of your thoughts. You are the aware, spacious consciousness in which the movie plays. This is the core, the heart, the revolution. This is what the Buddha saw with absolute clarity. Let me share a story from my own early days, a simple moment that changed everything for me. I was a novice, tasked with the humble job of sweeping the endless stone paths of the monastery. My mind, however, was not humble. It was a raging marketplace of ambition, doubt, and restless planning. Am I doing this right? Will I ever truly understand the teachings? That other novice seems so much more peaceful than me. On and on. One afternoon, the senior monk overseeing the gardens, an old man with eyes like still ponds, watched me sweep. I was sweeping with frantic energy, trying to get the job done, to move on to what I thought was more important. He walked over, placed a gentle hand on my broom to still it, and said, "What are you sweeping?" Confused, I said, "The path, Venerable. The leaves and dust." He shook his head slowly. "No. You are sweeping the past. You are gathering what has already fallen. And you are doing it with the energy of the future, the desire to be finished. The path itself," he said, gesturing to the clean stones, "is right here. It is always clean in this present moment. You are cleaning the ghost of the past from it." He took the broom and demonstrated a single, slow, deliberate stroke. "Sweep only this stroke. Not the last one. Not the next one. Just this one. Then you are not sweeping leaves. You are meeting the path." It was my first lesson in what Buddhism calls mindfulness, sati. Not as a special meditation technique, but as the way to meet every single moment of your life. The path is your life. The leaves are your past thoughts. The desire to finish is your future anxiety. Peace is found in the full, complete meeting of this stroke. Right now. If this idea of meeting the path, just as it is, resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. By joining us, you create a gentle reminder to return to this present stroke, again and again, amidst the busyness of your world. We are here, together, learning to sweep our own paths with presence. We carry so much invisible weight. Think of your mind as a beautiful, ancient vase. It is meant to be empty, to hold space, to perhaps hold fresh water or a single flower. But over the years, we have filled our vase with stones. Each worry is a stone. Each regret is a stone. Each what if about tomorrow is a stone. We drop them in, one by one, until the vase is crammed full, heavy, and useless for its true purpose. We then walk through life carrying this incredibly heavy, full vase, wondering why we are so tired, why our arms ache, why we cannot receive anything new or beautiful. The practice is not to carry the vase more efficiently. The practice is to notice the stones, and with great compassion, to begin taking them out. One at a time. This stone of resentment from 5 years ago. I don't need to carry it anymore. I set it down. This stone of anxiety about a conversation next week. I place it on the earth. The vase becomes lighter. Its emptiness reappears. And in that emptiness is its purpose, its capacity to hold, to receive, to simply be. Your mind's natural state is that empty vase, clear, spacious, capable of holding experience without being crushed by it. The stones are optional. Why do we add the stones? Because of a fundamental misunderstanding. We believe our thoughts are reality. A thought arises, I am in danger. And instantly, our body reacts as if a tiger is in the room, heart pounds, muscles tense. But the danger is often just a thought about a future meeting, a past comment, a possibility. The Buddha's teaching on anicca, impermanence, helps us here. Everything that arises in the mind passes away. Every single thing. A thought is like a bird flying through the sky of your awareness. It appears, it moves across your field of vision, and it disappears. Suffering begins when we build a cage for that bird, insisting it stay, trying to figure out where it came from and where it's going, feeding it, worrying about it. We take a fleeting, passing phenomenon and try to make it a permanent resident. We mistake the passing bird for the sky itself. The sky does not cling to the bird. It allows the bird's journey. Your awareness can do the same with your thoughts. See the thought as a bird. Acknowledge its presence, a worrying bird. And then, let it continue its flight. Don't build it a cage. Don't follow it. Return to the vastness of the sky. The thought will disappear on the horizon of its own accord. This is not suppression. It is wise observation. Let me tell you an original story, a parable from the tradition I was taught. There was a village built on the banks of a wide, powerful river. The river provided everything. Water, food, transportation. But it was unpredictable. Sometimes it was gentle, sometimes it flooded. The villagers lived in constant anxiety, building higher walls, fighting the current, always trying to control the river. They were exhausted. One day, a wanderer came and saw their struggle. He didn't teach them better wall building. Instead, he asked to be taken upstream. After a day's journey, he showed them something they had never seen. Here, the river emerged from a deep, still, mountain lake. The lake was perfectly calm, fed by springs from deep within the earth. You are trying to control the river downstream, the wanderer said, where it is chaotic with all it has picked up along the way. But your true source is this lake. Learn to dwell here, in this stillness. From this place, you can see the river's movements, but you are not tossed by them. You are the lake, not the river. The villagers began spending time at the lake in quiet reflection. Slowly, their fear of the river diminished. They still lived by it, used it, respected its power, but they were no longer at war with it. They had found their own inner lake. You have that inner lake. Meditation is the journey upstream to remember it, to rest in it. The chaotic river is your thinking mind. The lake is your aware, peaceful essence. This leads us to a beautiful and often misunderstood teaching. Anatta, non-self. This does not mean you don't exist. It means you are not what you think you are. You are not the fixed, solid, separate entity your thoughts constantly describe. You are more like a river yourself, a flowing, changing process. Look for the you that was 5 years old. Where is that child? Gone. In their place is a collection of memories, changed selves, evolved understandings. The you of yesterday is gone. The you of this morning is gone. What remains is a sense of continuity, a story linking these moments. But the immediate, direct experience of right now is simply awareness. Awareness of sounds. Awareness of sensations. Awareness of thoughts appearing and disappearing. That awareness is what you most fundamentally are. It is not a thing you have. It is what you are. And that awareness is not cramped, not worried, not old or young. It is spacious, clear, and untouched by the content it knows. Discovering this is like the sky discovering it is not the clouds. The clouds are many and changing, dark clouds, white clouds, storm clouds. The sky is the singular, boundless space that holds them all. Your true nature is the sky. Let's settle deeper. Bring your attention to your hands. Feel the sensation there, perhaps warmth, a slight tingling, the touch of fabric or air. Without moving them, just feel. This simple act, noticing sensation, is a powerful anchor. It pulls you out of the thought stream and into the living reality of the present. The mind loves to travel in time, but the body only exists now. Its sensations are a direct doorway into the peace of this moment. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises from living everywhere but here. We are ghosts of the past or phantoms of the future. Peace is found by fully inhabiting the life of your body, right now. Not as a project to improve, but as a reality to be felt. We often speak of controlling our mind as if it were a wild horse that must be broken, dominated, and forced into submission. This struggle is itself the source of our exhaustion. The Buddha's insight was different. He saw that the mind, in its natural state, is not an enemy to be conquered, but a misunderstood friend. The problem is not the mind's energy, but our relationship to that energy. Imagine you are in a small boat on a choppy lake. The waves are the mind's activity. Thoughts, emotions, memories. If you stand up in the boat, tense and fighting each wave, you will likely fall in. But if you sit down in the bottom of the boat, relax your grip, and feel the boat rising and falling with the waves, you remain safe and dry. You don't stop the waves. You change your relationship to them. You become the one who feels the movement, not the one who fights it. Your awareness is that boat. It can hold all the movement. Your practice is to sit down inside it, to stop standing and fighting. I remember a man who visited the temple, a successful architect who designed calm, serene spaces, yet inside he felt like a constant construction zone of noise and panic. He said, "I can create peace for others, but I cannot find it for myself. It's like I'm outside the beautiful house I built, looking in through the windows." We walked through the quiet gardens, and I pointed to an old stone lantern, moss-covered and slightly tilted. "Is that lantern peaceful?" I asked. He said, "Yes, of course. It just sits there." "Is it trying to be peaceful?" He smiled, understanding dawning. "No. It just is." "Exactly," I said. "You are trying to become peaceful. You are striving to get inside the house you built. But you are already the space inside which both the construction zone and the serene house appear. You are not the chaos. You are the awareness that knows chaos. Stop trying to get inside. Simply recognize you are already the inner space." He later told me that single metaphor, shifting from being the builder outside to being the space within, unlocked years of striving. He stopped fighting the noise and began to acknowledge the space that held it. Gradually, the noise lost its urgency. This is the essence of meditation. It is not a state of blank emptiness you achieve. It is a quality of intimate, friendly attention you offer. You are not trying to get somewhere else. You are coming home to where you already are. The breath is your guide. Not because it's magical, but because it's always here, always present, always real. You don't need to change your breath. Just feel it. The coolness at the tip of the nose. The gentle swell of the chest or belly. The soft release. When your attention wanders into a thought, and it will, 1,000 times, that's not a mistake. That's the mind doing its natural job. The moment you notice it has wandered, that noticing is a spark of pure awareness. In that spark, you are free. Gently, without any criticism, like taking the hand of a wandering child, lead your attention back to the breath. This simple act of returning is the entire training. It is the repetition that builds a new habit, the habit of presence over preoccupation. Consider a spider in its web. The web is exquisitely sensitive, feeling the slightest tremor from any strand. The spider rests at the center. It does not chase after every fly in the garden. It waits, feeling. When a real vibration comes, a fly caught in the web, the spider responds with precise, efficient action. Your mind is the web, sensitive to countless vibrations, thoughts, sounds, memories, plans. Most of us live as if we are not the spider at the center, but as if we are frantically running out along every single strand that trembles, chasing phantom flies. A thought about work. I must run down that strand and solve it. A memory of an awkward moment. I must run down that strand and relive it. We are exhausted because we are constantly chasing vibrations. Meditation teaches you to be the spider. To rest in the calm center of your own awareness. To feel the vibrations come and go, without needing to chase every one. To respond only when necessary, from a place of calm, not reaction. From the center, you see the whole web. You are not lost in any single strand. Let me share a story about patience, which is the bedrock of this practice. There was a young painter apprenticed to a master who created breathtaking murals of forests. The apprentice wanted to paint the grand trees immediately. But the master had him spend his first year mixing only greens. Not painting, just mixing. Different shades of moss, of sage, of pine, of new leaf. The apprentice was frustrated. "When do I learn to paint the forest?" he'd ask. The master would simply say, "You are." After a year, the master gave him a single, small leaf to paint. "Paint this leaf with every green you know." The apprentice did, and the leaf looked alive, as if it could breathe. The master nodded. You cannot paint a forest until you know every green it contains. You must know the depth in your fingertips before you can express it on the wall. Your mind is the forest. Your practice is mixing the greens, learning the subtle shades of your own breath, your own awareness, your own patience. Do not rush to paint the masterpiece of a calm mind. First, learn the color of a single, calm breath. True transformation is not a sudden explosion of light. It is the slow, patient mixing of understanding, shade by subtle shade, until one day you realize you have become the artist of your own inner landscape. We must also speak of kindness, which must first be directed inward. The inner voice we carry is often a cruel taskmaster. It speaks in a tone we would never tolerate from a stranger. Buddhism teaches metta, loving kindness, and it always begins with the self. This is not selfishness. It is the foundation. Imagine trying to draw water from a well to give to others, but your own bucket is full of holes. You will run yourself dry and help no one. Self-compassion is the act of mending your own bucket. It is learning to speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend who is struggling. When you feel anxious, instead of, "Here's my anxiety again, I'm so broken," try, "This is a moment of suffering. It's okay. May I be kind to myself." Place a hand on your heart. Feel the warmth of your own touch. This simple, physical gesture of self-care begins to rewire a lifetime of harshness. You are not spoiling yourself. You are repairing the vessel so it can truly hold and share the water of compassion. Now, let's explore a force that shapes our entire world, yet remains almost invisible: habit. In Pali, the language of the earliest Buddhist texts, these are called sankharas, mental formations, the conditioned patterns of thought and reaction. Think of a path through a field of deep grass. The first time you walk it, you must push through, creating a faint trail. The second time, it's slightly easier. After 100 times, the path is worn bare, a deep groove in the earth. Your feet now fall into it automatically, without thought. This is how your mind works. Every time you follow a worry down its familiar rabbit hole, you wear the groove of worrying a little deeper. Every time you react to criticism with a surge of defensive anger, you wear the groove of reactivity. Soon, these grooves are so deep that the mind automatically, effortlessly, falls into them. The thought arises, and whoosh, you are tumbling down the well-worn path, often before you even realize you've taken a step. You mistake the groove for the only possible direction. The Buddha's genius was seeing that freedom lies not in being a better traveler on these old paths, but in realizing you have the power to stop walking them, and to begin, with gentle persistence, to tread a new way through the grass. The old grooves will remain for a time, they are the shape of your past. But if you cease to give them your footsteps, the grass of new possibility will slowly begin to grow over them. Meditation is this practice of stopping. In the silence of simply watching the breath, you are, for a moment, not walking any of the old paths. You are standing still in the open field. Each time you return to the breath after being lost in thought, you are consciously choosing not to take another step down the old groove. You are creating space. And in that space, a new direction, one of awareness, of pause, of choice, becomes possible. I recall a woman who came to the temple who had a lifelong habit of catastrophic thinking. A slight headache meant a brain tumor. A delayed email meant she was about to be fired. Her mind's groove was so deep it felt like a canyon. She described it as falling into the dark. I asked her to try something small. The next time she felt the familiar pull of the worry groove, instead of following it, she was to stand up and go wash a single dish. Not the whole sink. One dish. To feel the warm water, the slipperiness of the soap, the smooth ceramic. To do it with her full attention. She looked at me skeptically but agreed. Weeks later, she reported back, tears in her eyes. It felt silly, she said. But that one dish became my anchor. The act of feeling the water was so real, so present, that it was like a rope thrown to me in the canyon. I couldn't climb out all at once, but I could hold on. And for that minute, I wasn't falling. She had discovered that mindfulness isn't only for the cushion. It is a rope of present moment sensation you can throw yourself in the midst of any mental storm. Washing a dish, feeling your feet on the floor, listening to the hum of a refrigerator, these are all ropes back to the solid ground of what is, away from the terrifying abyss of what if. This work requires what the Buddha called viriya, right effort. It is not the harsh, gritted teeth effort of forcing. It is the sustained, gentle effort of a gardener tending seedlings. You don't yell at the seeds to grow. You provide consistent conditions, soil, water, sunlight. Right effort is providing consistent conditions for peace. It is the effort to gently restrain yourself from feeding the old habits. The effort to pause before sending the angry text, to take a breath before snapping, to notice the craving for distraction and simply stay with the stillness instead. And it is the effort to cultivate the new, to deliberately sit in meditation, to consciously offer yourself a kind thought, to choose the wholesome. This effort feels like patience, not like struggle. Let me tell you an original story about two carpenters. The first carpenter was fast and strong. He could drive a nail in 3 powerful blows. But he was often frustrated. His wood would split, his measurements would be off, and he'd have to start over, cursing his materials. The second carpenter was slower. He would spend a long time simply looking at the wood, feeling its grain, understanding its nature. His hammer blows were measured, precise, and few. He worked with the wood, not against it. People thought the first carpenter was more dedicated because he sweated and strained. But the second carpenter, working with mindful effort, produced furniture of stunning beauty and strength that lasted for generations. Your mind is that wood. Harsh, forceful effort, trying to bludgeon your thoughts into silence, will only cause splitting and frustration. Right effort is the mindful carpenter's approach, understanding the grain of your own nature, working with patience and precision. The change is slower, but it is true, lasting, and creates something beautiful from within. We also live in a world that constantly pulls our attention outward. The guardianship of our senses, Indriya Samvara, becomes a vital practice. Your eyes, ears, and mind are gateways. In every moment, you are choosing what to let in. It is not about living in a sterile bubble, but about cultivating wisdom. If you know that watching violent news before bed seeds your mind with restless, fearful images that will bloom in your dreams, wisdom suggests choosing a different input. If scrolling through social media leaves you feeling empty and comparing, wisdom suggests setting a boundary. You are the guardian of your inner temple. What you allow through the gates shapes the atmosphere inside. Periods of intentional quiet, of turning away from screens and toward the natural world, the sound of rain, the sight of a tree, are not escapes. They are acts of restoration, of cleaning the windows of your perception so you can see your own life more clearly. Now, bring your awareness to any sound you can hear. Don't label it or judge it. Just listen. Let the sound be a wave that rises in your awareness, peaks, and fades away. You are not the sound. You are the hearing. This capacity to simply hear without the mind immediately commenting, "That's a car, that's an annoying noise, I wish it was quiet," is a profound liberation. It is experiencing the raw reality of the moment before the story. In that gap between pure sensation and mental labeling, there is freedom. There is space. This is the space where you are not a person with a problem, but simply awareness itself, experiencing the symphony of the world. Practice this with all your senses. Seeing without naming. Feeling without judging. Tasting without comparing. It returns you to the freshness of direct experience, before the old, weary stories take over. Let's turn our attention to a profound and often challenging teaching. Equanimity. In Pali, it is upekkha. This is not indifference, nor is it a cold, emotionless state. True equanimity is the deepest form of caring, a love so vast and wise that it is not shaken by the changing winds of circumstance. Imagine the roots of a great, ancient tree. High above, the branches sway in the storm. Leaves may be torn away. The wind howls. But deep in the earth, the roots remain steady, unmoved, holding the tree firm. The branches are your reactive emotions. The joy, the fear, the anger that come and go with life's events. Equanimity is those deep roots. It is the unwavering, grounded awareness that allows the storm of feeling to pass through without being uprooted. It allows you to feel joy without desperate clinging, and sorrow without drowning in it. It is balance. We often confuse attachment with love. We think, if I don't worry obsessively about my children, I don't love them. If I'm not devastated by a loss, I didn't care. Buddhism invites us to love more deeply by holding more lightly. It's the difference between clutching a fragile bird in your fist, where your fear of losing it will crush it, and holding it gently in an open palm, where it is free to stay or fly, and your love is expressed as a safe, welcoming space. Clutching is about your need. The open palm is about the bird's freedom and well-being. Equanimity is that open palm. It is the strength to love without imposing conditions, to care without demanding a specific outcome. It is the most profound respect for the impermanent, flowing nature of all things, including relationships. I learned this from watching an old gardener at the temple tend to his roses. He cared for them meticulously, watering, pruning, protecting them from pests. He admired their blooms with genuine delight. But when an early frost came and blackened the petals, he did not weep or rage. He simply nodded, carefully pruned the dead blooms, and said, "The rose was never mine. It was a gift I was allowed to care for." Now the plant rests. His love for the rose was in the caring, not in the possessing of its beauty. His heart was open to both the bloom and the frost. This is Upeka. Can we love our lives, our people, our moments with this same full-hearted yet unattached care? Can we appreciate the bloom without demanding it never wilt? This balanced heart is cultivated through understanding dependent origination. Nothing exists in isolation. You are here listening to these words because of a vast, interconnected web of causes, the people who taught me, the language we share, the technology that carries this sound, the food that gives you energy to listen. Your mood today is shaped by the weather, a conversation, a memory, the quality of your sleep. When you see this interconnectedness clearly, judgment softens. You see that the person who speaks harshly is not an isolated villain, but a point in a web of their own pain, upbringing, and stress. This doesn't excuse harmful action, but it transforms your reaction from personal anger to a more compassionate, clear-seeing sorrow. You are free to set a boundary or take action from a place of wisdom, not from a place of being personally wounded. You see the whole tapestry, not just the thread that is poking you. Let me share a story about reflection. A troubled young man once came to the monastery, furious at the world. He saw injustice everywhere and carried a burning coal of outrage in his chest. He demanded to know why the Buddha taught peace when the world was so unfair. Instead of debating, an elder monk took him to the edge of the large, still pond in the garden. "Look down," the monk said. The man saw his own angry, distorted reflection glaring back at him in the water. "Now," said the monk, and he tossed a small, smooth stone into the center of the pond. Plop! The reflection shattered into a chaos of ripples. "Wait," the monk said. They stood in silence as the ripples slowly spread to the edges and faded. The water became still once more. The man's reflection returned, but now it was calm, clear. The monk said, "You are the pond. The injustices of the world are the stones thrown in. If you react to every stone while the water is churning, all you will ever see is a distorted, chaotic reflection, a reflection of reaction. But if you learn to let the ripples settle, to return to stillness after the impact, then you can see the world, and yourself, clearly. And from that clarity, wise action can emerge. Action that is not just another stone thrown in anger, but a gentle hand that can perhaps guide the next stone to a softer landing." The man understood. His work was not to stop the stones from falling, that was impossible. His work was to cultivate the stillness of the pond, so he could respond from clarity, not from a distorted reflection. This practice extends to our own inner critic. That voice is not the truth teller it pretends to be. It is often just an old, well-worn groove, a recording from past hurts, comparisons, and fears. Equanimity allows you to hear that critic without believing it, without fighting it, and without letting it dictate your actions. You can acknowledge, the critical voice is here, with the same balanced awareness with which you'd note, rain is falling. You don't argue with the rain. You might put on a coat or go inside. Similarly, you don't have to argue with the inner critic. You can simply put on the coat of self-compassion and go about your business. The critic, like the rain, will eventually pass. Now, feel the air on your skin. Is it warm or cool? Just feel it. In this direct sensation, there is no story, no past, no future. There is just this. This is the ground of equanimity, the present moment reality that is always neutral, always simply what is. Thoughts will label it too cold or nice, but the sensation itself is just a sensation. By resting again and again in this direct experience, you strengthen your roots. You learn to dwell in the isness of things, which is always peaceful, rather than in your opinion about things, which is often turbulent. From this grounded place, you can engage with the world with a heart that is both deeply caring and fundamentally unshakable. Let us explore a concept that is the very bedrock of the Buddhist teaching, the one truth from which all other wisdom springs: impermanence. In Pali, anicca. This is not a philosophical idea to be debated, but a direct truth to be observed in every moment of existence. Everything that has a beginning has an end. Every sensation arises and passes. Every thought forms and dissolves. Every feeling blooms and fades. The body you had as a child is gone. The emotions of yesterday have transformed. The situation causing you anxiety right now will, in time, be a memory. This is not pessimism. It is the most honest and liberating fact of our lives. Resistance to this truth is the root of our deepest suffering. Our clutching at pleasure, our frantic pushing away of pain, both are attempts to make the impermanent permanent. It is a fight we are guaranteed to lose, and the fighting itself exhausts us. Think of yourself as standing in a river. The water is constantly flowing. You cannot hold on to a single drop. If you try to grasp it, your hand comes up empty. If you build a dam to stop the flow, the water will either stagnate or burst through. Suffering is trying to stand still in a flowing river, or trying to make the river stand still for you. Peace is learning to float. It is relaxing your grip, feeling the support of the water, and allowing the current to carry you. You are not the riverbank, fixed and unchanging. You are part of the river itself, flowing, changing, moving. When you stop fighting the flow, a profound ease arises. You realize you are not losing anything, you are simply participating in the natural movement of life. Each moment is a unique drop of water, never to come again. This makes it infinitely precious, not something to cling to, but something to fully experience as it passes. I remember a powerful lesson from an unexpected teacher, a sand mandala. Monks from a visiting tradition spent a week in our courtyard, painstakingly creating an intricate, breathtaking geometric artwork from millions of grains of colored sand. It was a universe in miniature, a symbol of beauty, order, and divine connection. People came from miles around to watch its creation in silent awe. On the final day, with a ceremony of chanting, the lead monk took a brush and gently swept the entire magnificent creation into a small pile. He then poured the sand. A week of focused artistry, into the river that flowed behind the temple. The crowd gasped. A child cried out, "Why?" It was so beautiful. One of the monks smiled gently and said, "Its beauty was in its making, not in its keeping. Now its essence rejoins the world in a new form." To cling to the form would be to miss the truth it points to, that all things are this precious, this beautifully arranged, and this temporary. That moment has stayed with me forever. It taught me to pour my heart fully into creating my life, my relationships, my work, to make them as beautiful as I can, but to hold the final form lightly, knowing that change is not destruction, but transformation. The sand is now part of the riverbank, part of the soil, part of something new. This understanding of impermanence directly nourishes gratitude. When you know the flower will wilt, you truly see its bloom. When you know the conversation will end, you truly listen. When you know the comfortable moment will pass, you sink into it completely. Gratitude is not a list of things you're supposed to appreciate. It is the natural, overflowing response of a heart that sees the fleeting, miraculous gift in everything. The bitter cup of tea becomes a gift because you can taste it. The difficult emotion becomes a teacher because you can feel it. Even the pain becomes sacred because it is part of the authentic, ever-changing fabric of your aliveness. This is not a passive acceptance of suffering, but an active, profound engagement with the raw material of life itself. Let me tell you a story about a clockmaker. He was famous for his precision, creating clocks that kept perfect time for generations. He was obsessed with controlling time, measuring it, segmenting it. His workshop was a temple to order. But he himself was a deeply anxious man, haunted by the ticking of his own life passing. He came to the monastery seeking peace from the tyranny of time. The abbot did not speak of clocks. He gave the man a packet of seeds and a small, poor-quality patch of dry soil behind the kitchen. Your practice, the abbot said, is to grow a flower here. The clockmaker was baffled but complied. He had to learn about sunlight and water, about patience, about forces he could not control. He could not make the seed germinate faster. He could not force the bud to open. He could only provide conditions and wait. The day the first fragile bloom opened, a simple, wild sunflower, he wept. He had met a different kind of time, organic time, cyclical time, time that could not be measured in ticks, only witnessed in growth and decay. He realized he had spent his life trying to box the river of time into little, manageable segments, while missing the river itself. The flower brought him back to the flow. Your practice, when you feel rushed and anxious, is to find your flower. To engage with something that operates on nature's time, not the clock's. To remember you are part of a growth and decay much larger than your schedule. This also helps us with loss. When we lose someone we love, the pain is so acute because we are trying to hold on to a form that the river of life has carried onward. The teaching of Anicca does not say, don't grieve. It says, grieve fully. Let the river of grief flow through you. But know that you are grieving a form, a particular arrangement of sand that was incredibly precious. The essence of your loved one, the love you shared, the impact they had on your heart, that does not pass. That becomes part of the riverbank of your being, part of the soil from which you grow. They are not gone, they have changed form. Your memory, your love, the ways they shaped you, these are the sand now part of you. Clinging to the old form is like trying to reassemble the mandala from the river. It causes agony. Honoring its beauty by letting it change brings a sorrow that is deep, but clean, and eventually peaceful. So now, bring to mind something in your life that feels solid, permanent, fixed. Maybe a problem that seems endless. Maybe a trait in yourself you think will never change. Look at it with the eyes of impermanence. See it not as a mountain, but as a cloud. It has the appearance of solidity from a distance, but up close, it is vapor, constantly shifting, and will eventually disperse. This problem, this feeling, this you, it is all cloud stuff. Beautiful, dramatic, real in its moment, but not permanent. You can relax your fight with the cloud. You can simply watch its shapes change, knowing that the sky that holds it, your awareness, is vaster and more enduring than any temporary formation. Now, let's turn our gaze to one of the most transformative practices in all of Buddhism, compassion, or karuna. Often, we think of compassion as a soft feeling, a sentiment of pity for those less fortunate. But in the Buddha's teaching, compassion is a fierce and clear-eyed understanding. It is the heartfelt wish for all beings to be free from suffering, coupled with the wisdom to see the causes of that suffering. It is not merely a feeling, it is an active force. And like a mighty river, it must have a source. That source is you. You cannot draw water from an empty well. Genuine compassion for others must be rooted in a deep, unwavering compassion for yourself. This is the starting point. Consider this: if you had a wound on your arm, you would clean it, bandage it, care for it with attention and gentleness. You wouldn't shout at the wound to heal faster, or ignore it while you tended to someone else's scrape. Yet, we do this with our inner wounds constantly. We criticize our anxiety, we hate our fear, we resent our own fatigue. This is like pouring salt on a wound and wondering why it burns. Self-compassion is the simple, radical act of cleaning and bandaging your own inner wounds first. It is speaking to yourself in moments of failure or pain with the same tone you would use with a terrified child: "It's okay. I'm here. This is hard, but we'll get through it." This is not self-indulgence. It is basic sanity. It is the repair of your own vessel so that it can hold the waters of care for the world without leaking dry. I learned the depth of this from an experience with a teacup. In my early years at the monastery, I was given the duty of serving tea to visiting teachers. One day, my hands were cold, and I was nervous. I fumbled a precious, ancient teacup, and it fell to the stone floor, shattering. I was devastated. The cup was irreplaceable. My mind filled with a torrent of self-condemnation: clumsy, undisciplined. You don't deserve to be here. The old master who owned the cup saw my stricken face. He knelt beside me among the shards, not to scold, but to carefully collect the pieces. He looked at me and said, "The cup is gone. That is a fact. Your remorse is natural. That is a feeling. But the one who is drowning in shame right now, who is that? Is that the one who broke the cup, or the one who is aware of the breaking, the remorse, and the shame?" He paused, letting the question hang. Care for that one. The cup was always going to break. Everything does. But your heart is not a cup to be shattered by every mistake. Your heart is the hand that can pick up the pieces, learn, and pour tea again with more care. He taught me that compassion begins in the moment you cease to shatter your own spirit over life's inevitable breakages. From this foundation of self-compassion, compassion for others naturally expands. It becomes not a duty, but an overflow. You begin to see the shared condition. The person who is rude to you in traffic is not a monster, they are a person drowning in their own river of stress, fear, or hurry, lashing out from their own pain. This doesn't excuse the behavior, but it changes your reaction from, "How dare you?" to, "What suffering must be causing that?" This shift is revolutionary. It doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you can set a firm boundary or take wise action from a place of clear-seeing understanding, rather than from a place of personal vengeance or wounded pride. Your action becomes surgical and effective, not merely reactive. Let me share an original story about a blacksmith and a sword. A legendary blacksmith was known for forging blades of unmatched sharpness and strength. A young warrior brought him a sword that had been badly notched in battle, its edge ruined. "Can you fix it?" the warrior asked. The blacksmith took the sword, heated it in his forge until it was glowing, then plunged it into a barrel of oil. It hissed and steamed. He then began the slow, painstaking work of hammering out the notches on his anvil. Clang! 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 The warrior grew impatient. "Why don't you just grind the edge down? It would be faster." The blacksmith shook his head, never breaking rhythm. "Grinding only removes metal. It makes the sword weaker, smaller. To truly repair, you must soften, reshape, and restore. You must work with the entire structure of the steel, not just the damaged edge." He held up the restored blade. Compassion is this. It is not grinding away at someone's flaws to make them smaller, more manageable to you. True compassion is the forge heat of understanding that softens the hardened heart, and the patient hammer of presence that helps reshape the being from within, restoring their intrinsic strength. It takes time. It requires heat. But it creates true restoration, not mere reduction. When we offer compassion, to ourselves or others, we are not sanding down rough edges. We are offering the transformative heat of acceptance and the patient, shaping power of our steady presence. This compassion extends to all beings in the practice of metta bhavana, the cultivation of loving kindness. We systematically offer wishes of well-being, first to ourselves, then to a benefactor, a friend, a neutral person, a difficult person, and finally, to all beings everywhere without exception. This practice is not magical thinking. It is neural retraining. It is consciously directing the flow of your heart's energy, wearing new grooves of kindness to replace the old ruts of resentment and indifference. When you silently wish, "May you be safe, may you be happy," for someone who has hurt you, you are not condoning their actions. You are exercising your own heart's freedom. You are refusing to let their past actions continue to poison your present inner world. You are taking back your own peace. So now, let's practice. Wherever you are, place a hand gently over your heart. Feel the warmth, the beat. Silently offer these words to yourself, meaning them as you would for a dear friend. "May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I accept myself just as I am. May I live with ease." Feel the intention behind the words. Let them sink in. Now, bring to mind someone you easily love. Offer the same wishes to them. May you be safe. May you be kind to yourself. May you accept yourself. May you live with ease. Let the feeling of warm care flow outward. This is you, mending your own bucket, and then letting the overflow nourish the world. Let's talk about something we all chase, yet often misunderstand: happiness. We spend our lives in pursuit of it, believing it to be a destination, a set of conditions, the right job, the perfect relationship, financial security, recognition. We think, when I finally have this, then I will be happy. This is the great trap of craving, or tanha, which the Buddha identified as the very cause of suffering. It's the belief that happiness is somewhere else, sometime else, with someone else. We become like a person drinking salt water to quench our thirst. the more we drink, the thirstier we become. The pursuit itself becomes a form of torment, because the goal is always just over the next horizon, forever receding. Buddhism offers a radical redefinition of happiness. It is not a condition to be achieved, but a quality of attention to be uncovered. It is the peace that arises when the compulsive chase stops, even for a moment. It is the contentment found not in getting what you want, but in being fully present with what is. Imagine you are on a train, desperate to reach a beautiful city you've heard about. You are anxious, checking your watch, annoyed by delays, unable to appreciate the landscape rushing by. But what if the beautiful city was not at the end of the tracks, but in the very act of looking out the window? What if the sunlit fields, the passing forests, the rhythm of the wheels on the track, what if this was the destination? Happiness is the willingness to look out the window of this present moment. It is not down the line, it is right here, in the seat you are sitting in the very fact of being alive and aware. I witnessed this shift in a businessman who came to the temple on retreat. He was successful by all worldly measures but described himself as hollow. His life was a checklist of achievements that brought only fleeting satisfaction. We were walking in the orchard when he pointed to a ripe, perfect peach hanging from a branch. "I want to taste that," he said, "but it's too high." He jumped for it, missed, and grew frustrated. I said nothing, simply pointing to the ground at his feet. There, in the grass, was another peach, fallen, slightly bruised, but glowing in the afternoon light. He picked it up, brushed it off, and took a bite. Juice ran down his chin. His eyes closed. "This," he whispered, "is the most incredible thing I've ever tasted." The lesson was immediate. He had been leaping for the perfect, unreachable fruit of future conditions, while ignoring the ripe, nourishing fruit of present experience lying at his feet. His happiness wasn't in the flawless peach on the high branch, it was in the direct, messy, sweet experience of the one already in his hand. Your life is full of these, fallen peaches, imperfect, present moment experiences ripe with the juice of aliveness, if you would only stop leaping and start tasting. This is deeply connected to the concept of non-attachment. Non-attachment is not detachment. It is not cold withdrawal from life. It is full, passionate engagement without sticky clinging. It is the difference between enjoying a beautiful sunset and trying to nail the sky to your wall to keep it. One brings wonder, the other brings exhaustion and disappointment. Non-attachment allows you to love deeply, work creatively, and experience pleasure fully, all while holding the experience with an open palm, not a clenched fist. You know the sunset will end. That knowledge doesn't spoil it, it makes it sacred. You savor it completely precisely because you know it is a gift, not a possession. Let me tell you a story about two musicians. The first musician practiced with one goal, to perform a flawless concert that would bring her fame and acclaim. Her practice was filled with tension, fear of wrong notes, and fantasies of the audience's applause. The performance came, and though technically perfect, it felt sterile, even to her. The second musician practiced for the love of the music itself. She was curious about each phrase, each harmony. Her practice was a conversation with the composer, an exploration of sound. When she performed, she was not thinking of the audience's reaction, but was fully immersed in the flow of the music. The audience was swept up not in her perfection, but in her joy. The first musician was attached to the result, the applause, the reputation. The second was non-attached, devoted to the process, the music itself. Her happiness was in the playing, not in the trophy waiting at the end. Which musician do you think found more lasting fulfillment? Your life is your instrument. Are you playing for the trophy at the end, or for the love of the song itself, right now? This is where mindfulness becomes the key to happiness. By anchoring your attention in the sensations of the present, the breath, the sounds, the feeling of your body, you step off the treadmill of craving. You stop running toward the future or ruminating on the past. You discover that the basic condition of being conscious is, in itself, peaceful. A thought may arise saying, "This is boring," or "I should be doing something more important." See that thought as another piece of scenery from the train window. Note it, and return to the direct experience of breathing. In that return, you are choosing presence over pursuit. You are drinking from a fresh spring, not from the salt water of craving. So, for the next few moments, conduct a simple experiment. Let go of any goal. Drop the pursuit of becoming more peaceful, more spiritual, or even of understanding this. Simply be aware. Feel the air moving in and out of your body. Listen to the most distant sound you can hear. Notice the play of light and shadow with your eyes softly open. There is nothing to get, nowhere to go. This is it. This awareness, this simple knowing, is already whole, already complete. Any sense that something is missing is just another thought passing through. Don't chase it. Rest here. In this rest, you may touch a happiness that does not depend on anything at all. It is the happiness of being, not of having. Now, let's address a powerful and often hidden force in our lives, aversion. We've spoken of craving, the pulling toward what we want. But its twin, the pushing away of what we don't want, is just as strong a source of suffering. This is dvesha in the Buddhist teachings. It is our resistance to pain, discomfort, boredom, unpleasant feelings, and difficult people. We believe that by pushing these things away, we can create a space of pure pleasure and ease. But resistance is like holding a clenched fist underwater. The effort to keep it closed, to keep the water out, is exhausting. And the moment you relax, the water rushes in anyway. True ease comes not from keeping the water out, but from opening the hand and allowing the water to flow through it. Your open hand is not harmed, it simply experiences the sensation of wetness. Aversion is that constant, exhausting clenching. Think of a time you had a minor physical pain, a headache, a sore muscle. The initial sensation is one thing. But then the mind adds a layer, I hate this. This shouldn't be happening. I need this to go away now. That layer of resistance, of mental fight against the reality of the sensation, creates a second layer of suffering that is often worse than the pain itself. The pain is a sensation. The suffering is your relationship to that sensation, the story of resentment, impatience, and fear you weave around it. The practice is to separate the two. To feel the raw sensation with a curious, almost scientific attention, while letting go of the story of, I hate this. This doesn't mean you don't take an aspirin if you need one. It means you don't add mental poison to the physical experience. I learned this from a master calligrapher who visited the temple. He was demonstrating his art, and we watched, mesmerized, as his brush flowed across the paper, creating elegant, effortless characters. Then, on a crucial stroke, his hand trembled slightly. A small, unintended blot of ink marred the corner of the character. A collective gasp went through the room. The masterpiece was ruined. Or so we thought. The master did not tense up or throw the paper away. He paused, looked at the blot, and with a few more deliberate strokes, he incorporated it into the design. The blot became the eye of a small bird now perched on the character's edge. The piece was more beautiful, more alive, for the mistake. He later said, aversion is the desire to erase the blot. Wisdom is the ability to see it as part of the picture, and perhaps the seed of something new. What you resist becomes a destructive flaw. What you accept can become a feature. Your life has blots, unwanted events, flaws, pains. Your aversion wants to tear up the paper. Wisdom asks, can I pause? Can I see this differently? Can I, with patience and creativity, incorporate this into my wholeness? This practice is vital for dealing with difficult emotions like anger or fear. When anger arises, aversion often shows up as shame. I shouldn't feel this. I'm a spiritual person, I should be peaceful. This shame is a secondary aversion layered on top of the primary emotion. It creates a war within. Instead, try meeting the anger as you would meet the blot of ink. Pause. Acknowledge its presence without judgment. Anger is here. Feel its physical signature, the heat in the chest, the clenched jaw. Don't believe its stories of blame. Just be with the raw energy of it. In that space of non-aversion, of simple allowance, the emotion often loses its destructive power. It is seen for what it is, a passing storm in the sky of your awareness. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to hate it. You can just let it rain until it passes. Let me tell you an original story about a gatekeeper. In a walled city, there was a famously vigilant gatekeeper. His job was to keep danger out. He scrutinized every person, every cart, looking for threats. He became so focused on keeping out the bad that he began to see threat everywhere. He turned away travelers who looked tired, merchants with unusual wares, even musicians with loud instruments. The city became safe, but it also became silent, stagnant, and poor. Trade died. Joy faded. A wise counselor finally said to him, "Your duty is not to keep things out. Your duty is to discern what enters. Some noise brings music. Some strangers bring new ideas. Some disruption brings growth. You are keeping out life itself." The gatekeeper realized his aversion had become a prison. He learned to open the gate wider, to watch with discernment instead of fear, and the city flourished again. Your mind has a gatekeeper, your faculty of discernment. Aversion turns it into a fearful, clenched guard who shuts out all of life's intensity, including its vitality and growth. Wisdom opens the gate, allowing all experiences to enter, knowing you have the inner space to meet them with awareness, not with reaction. So, what is your present moment, blot, or unwanted visitor? Is it a feeling of restlessness? A background worry? A physical discomfort? For just a few breaths, experiment. Instead of trying to push it away, mentally turn toward it. Open the gate. Say inwardly, it's okay. You can be here. Investigate it with gentle curiosity. Where do you feel it in the body? Is it constant or moving? Does it have a color, a texture? Don't try to change it. Just be with it, as you would be with a curious, albeit unwelcome, guest. You may find that the simple act of dropping the resistance, of unclenching the fist, brings an immediate, profound relief. The sensation may remain, but the suffering around it dissolves. You have stopped fighting the water, and in doing so, you have discovered you can float. And so, we arrive here, together, at the end of this shared journey and the true beginning of your own. We have walked through the landscapes of the mind, through the storms of thought, the rivers of habit, the quiet sky of awareness. We have gathered tools, the anchor of the breath, the lantern of mindfulness, the open palm of non-attachment, the warm hearth of self-compassion, and the unshakable ground of impermanence. These are not exotic instruments. They are extensions of your own being, waiting to be recognized and used. The greatest misunderstanding is to believe that peace is a distant mountain peak you must struggle to climb, leaving your messy, human life behind. The Buddha's radical, beautiful truth is that peace is the very ground beneath your feet right now. It is not ahead of you. It is not behind you. It is the awareness that is reading these words, listening to these sounds, feeling this breath. The clouds of worry may obscure it, but the sky of peace is never absent. Your work is not to create the sky. Your work is to remember it, to trust it, and to learn to live from it. This is not a one-time achievement, but a moment-to-moment returning. You will forget. You will become absorbed in the movie, identified with the character, lost in the marketplace of thought. This is not failure. This is the human condition. The path is in the gentle, persistent remembering. The moment you realize you have been lost, in a fantasy of the future, a regret of the past, a spiral of anxiety, that moment of realization is itself a moment of awakening. In that spark of awareness, you are free. Cherish that spark. It is your compass. It will always point you home. So, how do you live this? You weave it into the ordinary, sacred texture of your day. You do not need a special room or special clothes. You need only intention. Let meditation be your daily homecoming. Sit for 5 minutes each morning, not to accomplish something, but to remember who you are before the day's roles and tasks lay claim to you. Feel the breath. When thoughts come, thank them for their concern, and return to the breath. This is not a chore. It is a radical act of self-respect, a tuning of your most precious instrument. Then, walk into your day carrying this simple question: can I be present with this? Can I be present while pouring my coffee, feeling the warmth of the mug? Can I be present in the first 3 breaths of a difficult conversation, creating a space of awareness before words pour out? Can I be present with my irritation in traffic, feeling it as a sensation without becoming its story? This is applied mindfulness. It is how the peace of the cushion becomes the peace of the pedestrian, the parent, the partner, the professional. Practice strategic pausing. Before responding to a provoking email, take 1 conscious breath. Before entering a busy room, feel your feet on the floor for 3 seconds. When feeling overwhelmed, stop and name 3 things you can see, 2 things you can hear, 1 thing you can feel. These pauses are cracks in the armor of autopilot, letting the light of awareness shine through. And tend to your heart with deliberate kindness. Each night, place a hand on your heart and offer one kind wish to yourself. May I sleep peacefully. May I be kind to myself. When you notice the inner critic speaking, consciously offer a kinder voice. This is the slow, beautiful work of befriending yourself. Remember the metaphor of the lake. Your mind may be stirred up, but its nature is to settle. Your practice is to stop stirring. Sometimes, the most spiritual thing you can do is to simply stop adding more thoughts, more judgments, more fuel to the turmoil. Sit by the lake of your mind and wait with patience. The settling will come. You are not alone on this path. By choosing to understand your own mind, you join a timeless stream of seekers. Every time you choose presence over distraction, kindness over criticism, or acceptance over resistance, you affirm this ancient, liberating wisdom. You are the latest expression of a journey that began over 2 millennia ago, a journey toward waking up from the dream of separation and fear, into the reality of interconnectedness and peace. Take a final, deep breath with me. Inhale, drawing in all that you have heard, all that has resonated. Exhale, releasing any sense of burden, any notion that this is one more thing you must perfect. You are perfect in your seeking. You are whole in your questioning. The bell of mindfulness does not stop ringing when this talk ends. It now rings in your own hands. The sound is your next breath. The silence between sounds is your own aware heart. Thank you for the profound honor of sharing this time with you. This is Monk's Temple. Wherever you are, whatever you face, may you remember the sky behind your clouds, the lake beneath your waves, and the boundless peace within your own beautiful, human heart. Go in peace. Live in awareness. Be kind.